Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It is 8:15 in the morning. I haven't started this vlog until today because yesterday on Monday I was way too busy to do anything to film. I will get into a little bit how this past weekend has gone for those of you that might not have seen last vlog, and it will put some stuff into context for what I did yesterday. But the most exciting part for yesterday though was the fact that my desk came in that was replacing the one I had bought that did not work. This one my husband bought thinking that he might have better luck with picking a better desk, and this is pretty amazing. So let me show you how it looks. So this is it. For those of you that might have been around for a hot minute, you might recognize the shape of this. It's very similar to a different desk I had in the past that unfortunately we had but could not put back together for any reason. It ended up basically being destroyed in the process of moving. So this is my new desk. I'm very excited. I hope I can hold on to it for at least a little while. But he put this all together last night for me after it came in, and I'm very happy. There's so much more space. I can put my work laptop over here and also use this space with my normal laptop for when I edit videos and stuff. And then the rest of the setup's pretty much the same. There's just so much more room. I think down here I'm gonna do something with my books to keep them a little bit more at hand and pretty much move everything that's over here into like these bottom shelves of some kind. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure that out as we go. But yeah, so now we still have to go through a lot of this stuff. This was stuff that was in our bedroom closet that I need to probably, like the blankets and stuff that were in there, wash because of our mice problem. Which, for those of you that did not see last week's vlog, at the very end I talked about how Saturday night Robert and I discovered we really did have a mouse problem. We've been thinking that we might have had at least some mice at some point, but we hadn't actually seen any of them. We had not seen a mouse go through the house at all. Saturday night, Robert and I finally though did see a mouse skitter across our living room floor. It was not pleasant. So Saturday night, we ended up spending the entire evening cleaning out our entire kitchen because we found that there are a couple of places they actually kind of seem to congregate. One is our bedroom closet, because there is a door that leads from the closet into our crawl space that there is at the bottom of our house. And they also tended to congregate in the kitchen, more specifically behind our washer and dryer. They get into some of our lower cupboards, but not all of them. And then they also kind of skittered across the countertops and the stove. Now, most of their poop, basically, that would tell you that they'd been there, was hidden. The poop was reserved for along the back of the countertops where there was no food present in those areas. And the stovetop, it was kind of camouflaged by a lot of the dirt and stuff, and that was on there already. But there wasn't much on the stove. They kind of avoided that because I think that they knew that that was a hot place to be and they didn't really want to be there. And then the other place that they tended to congregate was in my library. Now that wasn't as big of a shock to me, mostly because I do tend to keep food up there sometimes because of the fact that I have offerings that I give to my guides because my altar and stuff is up there. And on top of that, I have my herbs that I work with for spells, and they like to get into those. So I ended up then having to remove all my herbs. I had to throw them all away because I didn't know whether or not they got into them. I had to basically just remove all food items and food-like items from my library. I can no longer have food up there for the pure fact that mice like to be up there. And the reason they can get up there is because there's a mouse hole in the library. Right near one of my altars, there is a probably golf ball size hole, and we don't know whether or not that's been there. We do know that there looks to have been an older mouse hole that had been patched up. So we don't know if it's been there for how long, whatever, but that is how they were getting in and out. And so there was wrappers of things everywhere. So I ended up just throwing out all the herbs. Last night specifically, I was up there after I finished work, basically cleaning my entire library. I had to basically wipe down all of my bookcases because there was poop all along them that was camouflaged by the fact that my bookshelves are dark, so I didn't notice that it was all there. and I don't know how long they'd been running around on there, but I had to do that. I had to then sanitize and wipe down all of my trinkets that were up there. I had to take all the books off the shelves to then wipe down the shelves, and then I basically had to go shelf by shelf, where then I would pull the shelf out and vacuum basically the space that it was sitting on top of up against the wall. So that took me about 4 hours to do with a dinner break. So in reality, it probably would have taken me about 3.5 hours to do the entire room. But I also then switched out my altar space. So I switched out the 4-shelf bookcase that I had up there that was for my altar, and actually ended up taking the old dresser that we just replaced from our bedroom, that was my grandfather's. I took it upstairs, and I'm now using that as my altar space for Freya. And then I have in the drawers like the other supplies that I can still hold on to that are not food related, as well as some of my candles and stuff like that for my candle spells. So there's still some stuff up there. I just don't have any of the herbs anymore, which I'm really sad about, because I had accrued a large collection of herbs that I spent, you know, quite a bit of money on over the course of time, because I was building a stock, and now that's all gone. So I don't know if this was a sign for me in particular to move on to some kind of other working when it comes to my practice, but I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. So it sucks, but who knows? I will probably slowly rebuild my collection, but I have to make sure that if I do, they are placed in a little bit more of a safer area, because I cannot, like I said, have food up there. So I don't know when I'm going to start recollecting my herbs, but it probably won't be for a while. So then I took that 4-shelf bookcase and basically moved it into the corner that is basically on the right hand side when you come in. And there right now is like my hub of my makeup stuff and extra bathroom stuff that doesn't fit downstairs. So right next to it, I put that other 4-shelf bookcase and put all my Pop Funkos on there that I currently have, which is very nice. It makes them look a little bit nicer, and it actually frees up a little bit more floor space by not having a giant box behind my rocking chair. And then I basically just cleaned up other stuff. I cleaned up other places, vacuumed a lot, and then I cleansed my space as well with some incense. So, which the incense is also put away safely. It is inside one of the drawers of my new altar, so that, you know, if they do get into the incense, it's gonna be a little bit harder for them to now. But yeah, I had to really like deep clean that entire place, and it was not fun, but it's done. I took care of it, and my back kind of hurts today, but it hurt a lot worse last night when I was done. So I'm grateful that I'm not in as much pain as I thought I was going to be today, because any kind of extensive moving around, extensive like active work of any kind, I throw myself into massive amounts of pain for probably 2 to 3 days. So I'm very grateful that right now I'm feeling actually perfectly fine. Like, I'm a little sore, but that's because I still just need to stretch from waking up this morning. But yeah, that's been basically my whole weekend since Saturday night has been cleaning and wiping things down, and it's been just a lot. In other news, so I have tried to read. I read actually quite a bit yesterday while I was on my breaks and stuff from work, but I am still not done with my Dearest, Darkest by Kayla Cottingham. I'm really enjoying it. I just, because this past weekend, have not really found the time to read too much, but I did read a lot during my breaks yesterday. I am currently on page 142 of about 325 there. I'm about almost halfway through, and it's really getting good. Like, I mean, there's this whole thing with the story where, like, the characters know that there are supernatural things. They actually find something that is very supernatural down in the tunnels under the school, and they all kind of take advantage of it. Pretty much most people know that it's there, actually, at least the students do, and they are totally fine with it, which is interesting. I've never known a story of any kind where there's supernatural things where there's like a whole group of people who are like, oh yeah, this is fine, this is totally normal, this is totally okay. But it does lead to some possible problems in the future, because I can see that this thing that everyone's like, oh yeah, this is fine, it's not going to be fine. It's not. There's no way. So I'm very excited to see how the rest of it goes, because there actually is a kind of romance between our two main characters, I don't necessarily 100% believe it though. One of them hated the other very vehemently at the very beginning, and the other one is just really awkward. And the other one too is kind of like, it's two girls, and because that's what's part of the title is a sapphic horror. And I think that this is gonna also be a kind of identity discovery kind of thing, because one of our main characters, we've not really known whether or not she's into guys or into girls. It's not really mattered at this point, but obviously this other girl that she is, you know, working with, she's, you know, spending a lot of time with, she is starting to develop some kind of feelings, but she's not sure whether or not it's an actual crush, or if it's something different, or it's something, nothing even remotely romantic. The one that actually has the crush on the other, she's like, I don't understand why I'm feeling this about her. I mean, she's not really my type, but she's very pretty and she's so smart. And there's one thing too about one of the characters, the one that's in love with the other one, and she's closeted bi to an extent. Like, she has had relationships with girls in the past, one of which being one of the friends in her group, but she doesn't make it like a widely known thing, because I don't think she wants her parents to find out, maybe. And so I don't know, there's an interesting like discussion about that she has with the other character, and the other character's like, you don't have to explain anything to me. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't need to talk about it. Whereas most people are like, no, I want you to talk about this. Like, if you need to talk about it, like, talk about it, which that's fine and all. But giving somebody the option of not wanting to talk about it and like letting them come to you about that stuff is like a really important thing, because not all the time do people want to just sit and talk about how they're feeling. But I don't feel like I really believe the relationship yet, mostly because it was just really sudden when the feelings started coming up, and I don't know if necessarily it makes sense at all for these characters to be together. I feel like there was a need to have a romantic tie in this, and so having the two main characters fall in love with each other seemed like a pretty easy thing to do, but I almost wondered this would have been fine without it. And that's not me saying that I don't want romance in my stories. This is my big problem a lot of times with anything to do with YA that is not strictly a romantic story of any kind, is that the reasons for having a romantic connection in the story don't always make sense, and I don't feel like they really, I don't know, I don't feel like that they honestly work. I don't feel like the characters that fall in love with each other will ever work together for whatever reason. And I feel that a lot of times it's very insta-lovey. There's not even like an aspect of lust involved, which I would be more, you know, okay with, because lust is a very different thing from love when it comes to instantaneous feelings. But insta-love stuff, I don't work with, because it doesn't make any sense when these characters barely know each other and one of them falls for the other for practically no reason, when most of the time beforehand they either really disliked them or they never really talked to them beforehand. And this has always been an issue with YA in particular, because YA, you want your readers to be swooning over characters and all these things, and you can definitely swoon over characters, but there's so many better adult stories that involve romantic things that do it way better. And it's not instantly, at the drop of a hat, all of a sudden, I'm falling in love with this person. Because yes, you can suddenly realize you're falling in love with somebody, but you notice more things along the way over a longer period of time than just all of a sudden, here are the feelings and here is the fact that I'm in love with this person. Like, it's two very different ideas in that sense. And I think that YA tends to be, you know, hate, and then all of a sudden, I'm in love with this person with no prior context, no leading up to that, with thinking about the character, no real, like, you know, forethought into the idea of showing this character falling in love with the other one and like picking out little things that they're starting to fall in love with. Adult stories do it way better, where they like actually leave little things over the course of time where they're like seeing that the character is starting to fall in love. And I just don't, I think this has always been my issue with anything in a YA contemporary setting as opposed to like a YA fantasy. YA contemporary stories, whether that's mystery thrillers or contemporaries that involve massive amounts of romance kind of idea, they just never live up to that thing that I see in adult because they're so rushed for time when it comes to writing books in this area, because they have to be a certain length, they have to get the plot across very easily, and it just, I don't know, something about it just doesn't sit right with me exactly. But over the weekend they'll also start Warbreaker, and I am hoping to get through it this week as well. My goal was to have My Dearest, Darkest done quickly and then spending the majority of this week working on Warbreaker, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I can really listen to the audiobook for Warbreaker a lot more often because it is like, you know, the easiest way for me to do it, and then just use the tracking of the actual physical book to see where my progress is. But I'm not really in the mood to get into it right now, so I kind of want to keep focusing on My Dearest Darkest, especially because it's so quick to fly through. I mean, I'm already, like I said, almost halfway through it, and I think I got through almost 30% of the book yesterday just by reading on my breaks and on my lunch and stuff. And so I think that in the next couple days I can finish up My Dearest Darkest and then crank through Warbreaker in probably a couple of days, because the audiobook on 2 times speed was like 12 hours and I think I'm down to like just over 10. So I think I could like crank that through in a couple of days, especially if I don't watch anything like on my watch later playlist, which currently it's just my Critical Role videos I need to catch up on. So I'm currently watching episode 14 of campaign 3 because I'm alternating between watching Vox Machina and campaign 3, and I'm very behind on campaign 3. Like they just released episode 30 yesterday, and I need to catch up because I have been just slacking so badly. So anyway, I'm gonna go for right now. That was a long enough update, and I know this video is probably gonna end up being a lot longer again anyway. But I needed to update you guys on what all has been going on because there's been a lot of stuff happening in the last couple of days. Because I didn't film on Monday, I needed to let you guys know what's been going on. So yeah, we'll show the library later because I do want to show you guys how it's looking now that it's cleaned up. I did actually go through and unhaul a lot more books. So there is going to be another unhaul video coming this month that I'm very excited for. It was pre-planned because I did at least have one book I was going to unhaul. But when I was in the process of cleaning stuff, I found even more that I just don't want, that I'm not going to read, that I'm not going to really be interested in anymore. So I'm pretty excited because it's going to make for more room on my shelves. And I actually have enough space for all my books, all of my physical books, fit on my shelves now, which I have not had happen in a very long time. So I'm very, very pleased with that. So anyway, I'll show you guys that probably around my lunchtime just so that we can kind of, you know, see everything, and otherwise I'll talk to you guys later. So coming on in, you can see the floor is a lot cleaner now. All of those books over there are the ones I am unhauling this month. So I do need to go through them and basically just get them all organized and get them prepped so that when I do my August unhaul, they're all ready. All of these here are the ones I have already unhauled and have set on Pango Books. So they're basically all going to sit here until they get sold. And I think that if we end up moving in the next couple months at all, which I don't know whether we are or not, but if we do, if these don't get sold, I might just take them to my used bookstore and try to sell them there. Now, the newest thing is that this bookshelf here, where all these pop Funkos are, used to be where my altar is currently. And that actually used to be my altar. But especially because I decided to get rid of all my herbs, that freed up a little bit more space, and I ended up actually wanting, like I said, to take this old dresser that I'll show in a second to be my altar. But anyway, I basically did it where all of my pop Funkos and stuff are sitting there right next to the shelf where all my makeup and jewelry stuff already was. Otherwise, not much different. I did basically go through and clean up, obviously, the top portion of the bookshelves because that was the most disgusting of everything. But now we have it where I have that little itty bitty space left for new books. But that stack right there is all of the books I've already finished this month, one of which is being unhauled, but that there could in some way basically like make a little bit more room. But I actually on this shelf here, just got rid of a few other books that I realized I definitely didn't want anymore too. So I actually have to go back through and shift everything over a little bit more. So there's probably actually going to be more like half of that bottom one taken up, like the back row of it. So I might have half of a shelf open now, but we'll see. I am planning on getting more here in the next couple weeks. So that'll probably end up being, you know, the end of the open shelving space. The biggest thing I need to work on today is this mess here. So I've got 2 books here I need to give back to my friend Megan because I've had them for probably going on almost a year at this point, and I haven't read them. They're Nora Roberts books, and I have plenty of Nora Roberts on my own that I still would like to get through. But these are hers, and I'm just going to tell her that I just don't think I'm ever going to have time for these ones right now. I'm going to figure something out to do with my paper crafting stuff, because like my scrapbooking stuff that I would do for like my 5-star reviews for my journal, I need to figure out what to do with them. They were sitting on the floor behind this table up against the wall, but I don't want that there anymore. I would like a little bit of a nicer space put away for them, but I don't know where that is, and I think it's going to end up going downstairs into my office until I can figure out what to do with it, because I have a little bit of room on the shelf that's down there for stuff like this, so we'll see. But there I have my altar for my grandfather with currently some books on there that are basically used for crafting runes and things like that for spell work. And this is the dresser that was downstairs in our bedroom. This was actually my grandfather's dresser, and you can see that this shelf here is actually completely unusable because the bottom of it right now is completely falling through. This is a very old dresser, but I think really all I need to do is just kind of like re-glue or nail this bottom back to this. Like, I don't think it's going to take too much to fix it. I just have to actually fix it. But for right now, it's a little bit of a mess, mostly because I need to get this bottom shelf fixed in order to get the last of my stuff in here, which includes like my crystal necklaces and stuff. But this is my altar space for Freya, and then Bastet is back here. I wish that I could move this over a tiny bit more, but I can't because the mouse hole that the mice come through is actually right there, and I want to try to keep that open so that they can get into the traps and the poison and stuff that we have, because this is where they like to congregate, unfortunately, is up here. But then I have my space for Loki, which they did not touch. Ironically, they touched Bastet's stuff the most, and I don't know why, but that's very funny to me considering the fact she is a cat goddess. So, I don't know. They did touch a little bit of Freya's stuff, but not too bad. But Bastet was the worst in terms of the amount of stuff they got into. But that is basically it. And this is just like a catch-all closet, basically. This is like a lot of the other stuff that we have. It's got some jerseys in here that my husband has and some like clothes that are like more robe-ish kind of stuff that just doesn't fit in my closet. So anyway, that's basically it for right now. What I'm going to do though with you guys is show you the process of, first of all, moving all my books over, getting these ones all kind of together and prepped for the video I'll be doing here in a couple weeks, and figuring out and cleaning up this mess here. That's kind of what the plan is for today. To update you guys real quick before I get started, I did end up reading more of My Dearest, Darkest today. I'm actually nearly done with it. I think I have probably, I know I have less than 60 pages. I don't know if I have less than 50 pages left of it, but it will be done tonight, thank goodness, and I really like it. I don't think it's going to be a 5 out of 5 stars for me exactly, but I really enjoy it, and I definitely feel like it's one of the better YA contemporary kind of stories that involve paranormal elements. I definitely think it is one of the better YA horror that I've read in a long time. I've not read very many YA horror other than Daniel Vega's stuff that has anything good in terms of the content with YA horror. But I really, really like it. I would actually compare, I think, Kayla Cottingham a lot to Daniel Vega. Like, if you like the Merciless series or the Haunted and Unleashed duology, this would definitely be something you would be interested in because it kind of has the same vibes. I will say that My Dearest, Darkest has a lot of really rushed elements that I feel like I said, with the relationship between the two main characters and the overall kind of like final battle scene thing kind of going on. Like there's a lot of information there that's really rushed, and I feel like things are coming around way too quickly for my liking. But again, it's YA. They have to do things a lot faster because they have to keep the attention of people that are younger, and they can't go into as much gross detail as they would if this was like an adult book like a Stephen Graham Jones or anything more on the fantasy realm of things. This one isn't so much disappointing as I definitely got what I got, but I did really enjoy a lot of the elements. I just kind of had wished that they would have been expanded on a little bit more. And I don't think that there's a sequel going into this. I think this is a standalone, which I'm kind of sad about because I would love to see Selena and Finch again. I really like them individually as characters. I do like them as a relationship. Just the way that their relationship kind of built over the story was really quick, and I wasn't a fan of that, but it is a very typical thing in YA for the relationship such as theirs to kind of go. It's pretty, you know, synonymous with how most YA relationships tend to be. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. But once I finish this, I'll be getting into Warbreaker, which I have to basically get a lot of that done. But I think, like I said, I can get this done in a couple of days because of the fact that the audiobook is like my main way of getting through it. And I don't have a ton of it really at all. I actually pulled up on my phone right here. So I have about 10 hours and 16 minutes left with listening on 2x speed, which that is incredibly feasible for me to get done within like 2 days. Because I think I'm supposed to technically finish it by, I want to say Wednesday, and I think that is completely manageable, especially if I can continue with it today after finishing My Dearest Darkest, which is my plan. After this, I'm basically going to be going downstairs and chilling out and not doing much. I think that that is completely manageable to get through more of that and then be able to finish this up by, I think it's Wednesday of this week, and then moving on to something else, which I'm very excited about because I did like Warbreaker when we were getting started with it in my 24-hour Readathon vlog that I did last week, and it was really interesting. I'm not far enough into the story to really base too much of an opinion on it because I don't know a lot of what's happening yet, but I am really liking a lot of the elements that are starting to come into play with it. So there's that. But for right now, we're gonna go ahead and get started. First, we're gonna go through and fix up these shelves and move books over so that we can see how much more space we got. Hey guys, so it is now like after 7 o'clock or something like that. Let me check my Kindle actually since I can tell time. It's 7:09. Sorry if you can hear the air conditioner. My normal camera battery is dead and my husband is currently in the office, so I don't want to bother him. But I just finished My Dearest Darkest. I did finish up cleaning upstairs. My camera battery just died while I was up there and I needed to finish it, so everything's all cleaned up now and organized a little bit better. And then I did a couple other things and I'm exhausted, so I sat here and I finished the last like 40 some pages I had of My Dearest Darkest, and definitely a 4-star read. Really enjoyed it. I wish it was longer. I wish things were drawn out a little bit more because especially the last 40 pages it definitely felt like I was getting whiplash, especially with the final battle scene at the end. But it was really good. I really did like a lot of the elements that were played into this, and honestly I just wish it was able to be a little longer because I think it would have been like so much better if things were drawn out a little more, but honestly, for a YA horror, it is pretty good. But it does have some possession, kind of, not fully, like, nobody's fully possessed by anybody, but you do get people who fall under the influence of the entities. So if you're not a fan of that, don't go into it. But really fun, really creepy, very gay, loved it. Oh my god, like Selena and Finch, I'm just like, I loved it. I loved that so much. That was so cute. But yeah, so I'm done with that. So I just finished then the first part of my restoration class for Magical Readathon, and then Warbreaker, which I'm going to get started with here soon, is going to be completing the second part of that. And I believe that my Dearest Darkest was only counting for Magical Readathon, nothing else. Whereas Warbreaker is counting for like several spots on my bingo board for Witch-a-thon. And neither of them also counted for Wheel of D20. But I think after I finish Warbreaker, I'll end up going back to my books that were for the Wheel of D20. I'm going to go grab my reading journal and figure out where I need to be by the end of today. I don't know if I'm going to get to that by the end of the night tonight, but at the very least I'm going to sit here for a few hours and just listen to my audiobook. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend the rest of my night doing this and nothing else, because I already did what I needed to today. I'm tired, my back hurts, I don't want to freaking do anything tonight. So anyway, I will probably speak to you guys tomorrow with an update on where I get to Warbreaker, because I just don't know how far I'm going to get into it, and I'll probably just read it honestly until I go to bed. So hey guys, so it is now about 11:15 at night on Wednesday. I haven't updated you guys today because for honestly most of the day I was not feeling very well. I think that with all of the work that I'd done for about 2 days in terms of cleaning up stuff in my library and everything else that had been going on over this past week so far, which hasn't all been absolutely fantastic, I was just very run down today, to the point where after work I had to take a nap. I probably slept for almost 2 hours this evening, and then my husband is not doing great in terms of like his own mood. There's basically been a lot of stuff with his work that's been very frustrating for the both of us, and it's getting to the point where like I'm getting so angry that I want to like go and hurt somebody, but I'm not going to, because that's not going to solve anything, obviously. But I'm still very, very frustrated. I don't know what else to do at this point. I'm also frustrated with my job. I've been frustrated with it for a long time. But I've been trying to find something else and I can't, because nobody else is really hiring. I've placed my application into things and I've never heard back. So we're both kind of stuck, unfortunately. But all that aside, today's just been kind of a crummy day, but this evening after Robert and I had some dinner, I was invited to join my friend Bree from Bree She Reads on her sprints, which I showed you here just a second ago. Also, we have Adrian from Sister Harlem, and Brandy from Books with Brandy Shanae was on for a hot second, but she only just came in to stop by and say hi for a minute, because she was out doing some stuff and was just getting home, and so she needed to like kind of do her unwind stuff. But I wanted to come in and talk to you guys about Warbreaker so far, because I haven't really updated you guys in a while. I am over halfway through now. I'm on page 395. Don't know exactly how far that is in terms of Goodreads. I want to say it's probably about 55 to 60% of the way through. And I really like this a lot. I really, really am enjoying this. And I'm actually enjoying it so much that I'm actually already like broken the spine. Didn't notice that till just now. I was talking about this with Bree during our break. I've got about 10 minutes until this sprint is over, but in the last break we had, we were talking a little bit about the system that's involved, the magic system within this, because we're both a little confused on it in some capacity, but we get kind of the gist of it. So in this world, essentially, you have what are called breaths. Breaths are basically like a type of life force. They're not an ultimate life force because you can live without them, but to explain this in the most simplest way possible, when you have a breath, you actually are able to see things a little bit more colorfully. So essentially, there are what are called drabs. They're people who don't have any breath. And Bree made a really good analogy to this where it's almost as if you're colorblind. When you're a drab, you see no color. It's not very vibrant. You pretty much see just complete black and white. But when you have a breath, a singular breath, you actually can start seeing some color. Things become a little bit clearer, a little bit more vibrant. You get to actually kind of see things more as they really are. And then the more breaths that you procure over the course of time, whether through trade or whatever the case may be, as they kind of almost act in some ways as a kind of currency, depending on your situation, the more you have, the more color and more vibrance you can see in your world around you. And you also then, to a certain extent, have certain abilities, which one of our characters we learn about in this book starts to feel. It's the first thing that she notices when she starts procuring breaths, because it's all new to her. She's never really had any of this. And really, though, this is a lot based around the politics of this, because there's this impending war. So pretty much everybody in this world is waiting for this war to happen. It's basically like just waiting for the other shoe to drop at this point. And that's really more so the focus of the story, more than anything. And the magic that's involved with it is just kind of like a secondary thing. It's not like a huge thing, which is very common with Brandon Sanderson, because the two things that are always the most important are usually the politics, and then involved in there somewhere, or sometimes maybe separately, depending on the story, is religion. And then the magic system is usually like one of the third level things, maybe characters. But I feel that this is one that is very heavy on the politics, in the sense that we're literally watching these two kingdoms start the process of going into war. But we don't know whether it's really going to happen, because at this point, war, almost 400 pages in, has not happened, but it's still being talked about. It still sounds like it's possible because of the way things are, and the way that things are being divulged in terms of the things involved with both sides. One of our characters finds out a lot about the correspondence between the kingdom of Idris and somebody that was kind of on the inside when it came to at Hallandren. And it's just very interesting. I'm really enjoying this a lot. I mean, I've constantly have said that Brandon Sanderson, since I've started reading his stuff earlier this year, that I've just fallen in love with his work. I feel like that he is amazing. And one of the things I really like about this too is that it's not very heavy on battle scenes at all. There are some instances where like people get attacked and whatever, but it's more so political based than anything. And I don't know, something about the way he creates this is beautiful. And I like that there is a little bit of a romantic aspect involved in this. Apparently Sanderson's wife was a huge inspiration and a huge proponent in the writing of this. Like, he really like took her opinions and things that she kind of like worked on this in some capacity with him. And it's very clear, because this has the most romantic of stories that there is between two characters. Possibly a secondary set. I don't know, maybe. I'm kind of getting the vibe that there is another couple possibly coming out of this, which I would not be mad at, because if it's the couple I'm thinking, it would be interesting to see them as a pair. But I just feel like this is so far hitting a lot of boxes I wasn't expecting it to, because I really because whenever I go into Brandon Sanderson, I never know what I'm going into. I never know, because I feel like every story is different, and I never really know what to expect, even from the synopsis. I feel like that the synopsis is never really something I need to pay attention to, because I just honestly feel like no matter what, I'm going in blind, so there's no point in me reading the synopsis fully. But I just really think that this is becoming one of my more favorites, and I do understand why a lot of people really seem to put this high on their list for Sanderson's work, because it is very well done for the beginning of a possible series. Now, we don't know how much there's going to be in this world, but it was originally a standalone, and there has been notes brought up about there being at least a sequel, which will be called Nightblood, which Nightblood is the sword that has its own like personality and like life to it, that is accompanied by a character who is kind of like one of our main antagonists. But that antagonist we haven't really seen too much, but I just read a scene where I think we are going to see them actually getting themselves involved with the overall plot, which I'm very excited for because I've been waiting to see when this character ends up actually like taking some massive action, and I think that this is going to be where they do that. So I'm interested in what's going to happen. Now, I don't know if we're going to do another sprint here because it is getting very late for me. I don't think I'm going to end up getting to my goal, which was to get to page 544, which is fine because no matter what, I need to finish this tomorrow. And the audiobook, I currently have just under 5 hours left. I have 4 hours and 55 minutes left by listening on 2x speed. I can get that done tomorrow. That is my goal. So I'm going to read the rest of this tomorrow, and then I will also be starting up my reread of The Hating Game. This is the next book I'll be working on, which is my reread for my Wheel of D20. So I'll be finally going back to some of my Wheel of D20 things. And this is also counting for one of my Witch-a-thon prompts, which I realized earlier today I will not get a bingo until I finish this and then the last book that I have. And then if I can find some time over the day tomorrow, if I can, get to my reading goal from The Hating Game tomorrow, I will then hopefully get started with Extasia, because I've been needing to get to Extasia for a couple weeks now, and I'd like to be able to renew my loan on it, but I don't know if I'm going to, and if I can't, that means I'm not going to be able to have it for probably some time. So I need to get to it soon. So my goal is tomorrow, like I said, I think I'm going to focus on the audiobook tomorrow instead of watching videos and stuff, because I'm for the most part caught up in everything. It's not like, a big deal for me to like skip out on a day of watching YouTube stuff. Like I don't have to, I can just like skip it basically. So I think I'm going to focus on this tomorrow over the course of the day, finish this up, and then, like I said, get through some of this. I don't have to read too much of this. I think I have to read like the first like couple chapters, because I'll be reading, technically according to my reading schedule, like over 100 pages of this, because by getting to page 544, I only had like 108 pages of this left. So then I only have to read like 20 some pages of this tomorrow, technically. So that's going to be the goal, is to get those done, and then I think I'll move on to Extasia. I'll let you guys know when I finish Warbreaker and what my final thoughts are on it, and then we'll be transitioning to, like I said, The Hating Game, and I'll be talking basically about this in my Wheel of D20 vlog, but this is the third time I'll be reading this, so it's not going to really change much my opinion, but you'll at least be able to hear some of my thoughts on this more so in that, and then otherwise, tomorrow, the only other thing I'll be telling you about is when I get through some of Extasia. Hey guys, so it's just after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm just getting done with my lunch break, and I have finally finished Warbreaker. I basically listened to the last 4.5-ish hours of this over the course of my morning. Didn't really do anything else, and I loved this book. I already knew that by the time I got to where I was yesterday when I was doing Breeze sprints, that I was probably going to rate this like a 5-star, and I loved it so much. This book is an entire book about gray morality. Every character in here either is very morally gray, or they are acting as if they are a certain way, and then it turns out that they're not, and they're incredibly believable. There were so many twists in terms of different kinds of people that I thought I could trust, and I really couldn't. There was a point in Breeze Sprints where I was so upset over something that was revealed about a particular set of characters that I thought I could trust, and I was heartbroken that I couldn't. And I just loved that, though, because I love it when I get so entranced in the story and I become so attached to certain characters. I love it when an author, while making sense in the story and without any warning, can make a character that you've fallen in love with to be the worst person imaginable. And you can then so vehemently hate them. And there's only a few kinds of authors that are able to do that effectively, and I think Sanderson is one of them. I think right now this has got to be one of my more favorites. I would say that I would even put this above The Hero of Ages, which was the third book in Mistborn Era 1, and I loved Hero of Ages so much. But I think that in terms of this originally, I think having been a standalone actually worked really well. There is enough to where we can see the possibility of a sequel, which there is going to be. We are getting a sequel within this world. We don't know when it's coming out though, and I am very excited because there was a really big reveal toward the end of this that I am very curious about in terms of seeing that story play out more further on down the line in book 2. So I just really enjoyed this so much. This was honestly such a great book, and I cannot wait for the live show. This is very easily understandable as to why people put this as like one of their top favorites for Brandon Sanderson, because it just was amazing. The magic system is really interesting. It's very different, and I have some theories in terms of how does this play into other areas that we know of within the Cosmere, specifically with Mistborn. I believe that there is a possibility we can see an aspect of Mistborn play into what we know from Warbreaker. So I don't know, we'll see, but I really enjoyed that. Gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. This completed the final thing I needed for my restoration class, so I have one more class for Orillium to complete that I will be completing later this month with a book. This obviously was my Brandon Sanderson read for the month, so I'm already done with that. Witch-a-thon, this completed about 5 prompts for my bingo board. Didn't get a bingo, but we're getting closer. This counted for a TBR vet, a fantasy, a book that contains gods and goddesses, a book inspired by my star sign, which for this I really kind of went with the fact that being a Cancer and a water sign, I kind of went with a book that has some blues and whites within it because I think that those are very complementary colors. And then also a book that is a standalone, because technically this is still a standalone. There is a sequel coming out, but it is not out yet. So this still counts as a standalone for the purposes of the prompt. So next, what I will be going into is getting through the first 2 chapters of the Hating Game. This will be my 3rd time reading this, so I'm not going to really talk about it too much, but this is going to be in my Wheel of D20 vlog, more so because of the fact that this is one of my Wheel of D20 picks. This is to complete the prompt of a reread, and this also is going to be counting for one of the final 2 prompts I need to complete before getting a bingo on my Witch-a-thon board, which is again to have a reread. After that, I will be moving into Extasia by Claire Legrand. I would like to try to get maybe 50 pages into this if I can. This is due back on the 25th, so I have about a week until I have to give this back, and I think I can manage to get it done in a week because this is super easy to fly through. My next book after this is going to be easy to fly through, as well as the book after that and the book after that. So I think that the page count thing, now that I'm pretty much caught up with my reading schedule, is going to be manageable to where I can get back to reading stuff that I was interested in for my back burner stuff. So that is the plan. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and go film that clip for Wheel of D20, and I will check in with you guys when I've made some progress on Extasia and let you guys know what I think about it so far. Hey guys, so it is about 11:23 in the morning right now. I'm getting ready to take a break from work, and wanted to update you guys on how things are going. First of all, got to my reading goal by the end of the night last night, and I was able to get through the first 99 pages of Extasia, which, holy crap, this is intense. This is like from Jump Street, super creepy, super like horror levels. Like this is definitely like a YA horror. If you've watched the movie The Village, the M. Night Shyamalan movie at all, this is major Village vibes, mostly because this takes place in like a post-apocalyptic-esque kind of world. They basically talk about how there was some kind of like big cataclysmic event that caused the world to kind of go through this actual like almost kind of biblical-esque apocalypse, if you will. And there was this group of people that supposedly were picked by God to then build a community that was walled off from the rest of the world, and they would then, you know, have their own community in a sense. Hi buddy. Oscar came to say hello. But basically in this world then they also every so often have these 4 young women in this town, usually between the ages of like 15 to like 18 or so, that are dubbed as saints. They are picked by the Elder Council to portray these saints who they actually villainize in a sense because they are representative of the women that essentially, I guess, led ruination to the world in some way. We don't really know fully what all that entails, but these young girls, including the main character, are used as kind of a not like sacrificial lamb of any kind. They're not being sacrificed, but they definitely are representatives of the religion, the kinds of things that they do. They go through this whole like ceremony of being anointed as a saint, and our main character named Amity, who gets the name Amity actually through this ritual, is one of those girls. And it turns out that in this world also there are several young men being killed. They are up to 9 by the time that this ritual goes off. And then when Amity is given her name and it goes through the ritual, there's another boy that gets killed that they find immediately after she is crowned with this red hood that is supposed to be like symbolic of something. And Amity, shortly beforehand though, finds out that 2 of the other girls who are saints named Temperance and Mercy are, for one, involved in a relationship which goes against a lot of, you know, obviously this religion, because it's very Christian inspired. It's very similar to, like I said, The Village, where it's a Christianized feeling, even though it's not necessarily just Christian. They do mention the idea of God and stuff like that, similar to like how Christians view God in a sense, and like how he protects, how he is there, all these things, and how he has like a certain code of conduct that needs to be abided by. When Amity sees these 2 girls in the woods, she finds out that they actually want her to run away with them to meet this woman named Malice, who supposedly has these abilities, has these powers, and is looking to save the town, or at the very least the town that Amity is from. It's not great, it's not safe for them, and they need to run away essentially. And Amity doesn't really believe any of that until she finds out about the deaths and that there's something really mysterious going on, and she decides to then leave to go find Malice and learn what they learn. And what I just basically read last night as my last chapter was the fact that Malice says that basically everybody outside of the wall is a witch. And the witches are the people who have these abilities, and they are being villainized by the town that Amity is from, and they can likely do something to help with the killings that are going on in Amity's home. And on top of that, Amity also has this thing going on where essentially the reason why it's so important that she gets anointed is because her mother kind of had left in this capacity where people thought she was possessed by the devil or something. She had an affair with a man in this town and was blamed for being a heretic, a witch, whatever you want to call her. And she ran off, and everybody thinks she's either dead or was taken by the devil. And so that put a bad name on Amity's family, on herself, her sister, her father, and being anointed is like a really big thing because it proves that to the rest of the town, Amity is not like her mother. But I'm willing to believe that at this point, it is going to be very clear that Amity is going to learn more about her mother and who she really is and what she learned, because there's a lot of things about this town that seems very nefarious. I mean, just from Jump Street, reading the first chapter, I'm like, oh god, this town is just not good. These people are really bad. But that's kind of what to be expected, because like the synopsis kind of leads you to believe that with the fact that Amity is going out to seek help, she's going to find out, you know, that her town is not as great as it seems to be. That's kind of a very familiar trope I have with stories such as this. So very excited though, really enjoying it. The creep factor is like breaking the scale at this point. It is very atmospheric. The very lyrical writing that Claire gives this story is unnerving. Again, like I said, very reminiscent of The Village. If you're a fan of that movie, definitely would recommend you read this because it's got that very similar uncomfortable feeling. But I'll be picking this back up again later tonight when I get to my reading goal for today. And that's kind of it, because I'm still working through the hating game right now. I'm not at my reading goal for that yet, but once I get to my reading goal, I'll be going back to that this evening. Hope that it continues to be good. It's only about like just under 500 pages, so I'm already almost like a fifth of the way through it, and it's really good so far. Hey guys, happy Saturday. Don't worry, I am parked. I just got back in the car from being in Ulta for a hot second because I'm out today doing some errands and grocery shopping and stuff, but I didn't want to go grocery shopping by itself just yet. I wanted to go out and kind of take care of myself and just kind of be by myself. It's been not necessarily a crummy day, but first day of my monthly visit from Aunt Flo, so I feel like crap, truthfully. But last night I did have date night with Robert, and I actually did a facial because I hadn't really done much with my face in a while. I am very bad at taking care of myself and my skin, so I'm trying to get better about it, but it usually ends up being that about once a week, maybe twice a week at most, I will do a facial and then just not wash my face for like a few days, and then next time, because, you know, so I'm really bad about it. But I also did do my nails and my toenails. They look like crap, honestly, like the paint's all over, because I can't do my nails by myself very well as of yet. It's been a while since I've done them, but I just basically put some tips on over my natural nails with nail glue and then painted on them. And I, instead of using like the glossy top coat that I usually do, I just did the matte one with the set that I have. Yeah, and then I also did my toes, which I haven't done in a while, and they were looking pretty weird without nail polish on, so I decided to throw some on there. And they're also black, but the black on my toes has like a gold sparkle to it, so it's really pretty. But I have a lot of errands to do. Like I said, I just went into Ulta. I had to basically restock on one of my skincare items because it's getting low, and it's my Clinique Redness Solutions face cream. It basically helps with my rosacea, because if you don't know, if like you can't tell, have very red skin, very red undertones. I basically have my father's skin that is very acne prone. My sister did when she was a teenager, but she had then went on Accutane when she was in high school because hers was severe, like severe cystic acne like my dad's. Mine isn't necessarily cystic, but it is chronic and it is very recurring. And sometimes if I can wash my face enough, it starts to go away, but even then it's still I still have issues with it. But I will say this is very lightweight and does actually help in some cases with redness when I use it as often, you know, when I'm supposed to. But the bottle I do already have, that I got, I want to say about 6 months ago, is running low, so I decided to get another one. And then I got this thing from Truly that I think will work well with the other products I've been using of theirs that I've really liked so far. I have currently their CBD anti-blemish like body mask. It's a jelly and it's very lightweight. It doesn't feel sticky after drying, which was my big concern with it because I hate feeling sticky. I can't wear sunscreen on my face because of how sticky it feels. A lot of times, even though I should, but it's seriously a texture thing for me. I can't do it. I feel so out of space when like I have something sticky on my face. And then I also have this like fruit scented, it's basically like another anti-blemish body spray though, but you put it on and it's supposed to like seep in and help with acne blemishing and stuff like that. I don't remember what it's called, but the one I got today is their Black Jelly Body Treatment Body Serum. It's got black charcoal, witch hazel, tea tree oil, and baobab oil, which is supposed to help with specifically like blemish areas. So you put a few drops on and it's supposed to be preventative. So I am going to start using this, I think, under everything else, like to put that on, put the body mask on, and then the spray. But that was my first stop for the day. Actually, technically my first stop was Starbucks because I wanted a coffee bad. Like when I am on my first day of my monthly visit, I feel like absolute crap. I woke up this morning at 6:30 with awful cramps, like the worst cramps I think I've had from waking up. I've had bad cramps during the day, like when I'm still awake, and especially like during the work day when my monthly visit decides to come, but I've not had one happen as I'm sleeping in a while. And I woke up at 6:30 and just was in so much pain. I couldn't basically tell if I was going to have a massive gush, shit myself, or throw up. That is exactly how I felt this morning. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. That is how it was. And it sucked. If you are a woman with a uterus, that hopefully will resonate with a lot of you because it felt like hell. And then I took some Motrin, finally managed to stop feeling like that, you know, for a little while. Took some Motrin and then went back to bed and didn't get up till almost 10. And it's now, I think, after 11. So I've already got my first thing done. I'm going to run over to the mall that's across the street from me right now.
Got a couple things I want to do. I want to try to get my hair cut maybe today because my husband got his cut a couple days ago. So I've been kind of like feeling like I should get mine done. I really just want to get the layers in my hair fixed, and then get my undercut redone because I really hate how grown out it is. And I honestly prefer having an undercut than anything else right now. Like ever since I did that last summer, I've just loved getting my undercut done. And I don't think I'm going to go back. I will say, I think I'm going to try to see if I can get it completely done because the last time I tried to get my undercut fixed, they just trimmed it and they didn't really like shave it all the way down. So I'm going to see if I can get that done at the hair salon that's in the mall. And I'm going to check to see if Bath & Body Works has their Halloween stuff yet. If not, not a big deal, but I just want to check. And then I'm going to be going to Sephora because I need to get some more face masks because I'm running low on their like $6 face masks that they have, which I love. Those face masks are the best ones in my opinion. I prefer those over mud masks or other sheet masks that are out there. Like I don't care so much for the Yes 2 ones, but the Sephora ones are cheap and they're really, really awesome. They do the job. They do exactly what I ask them to basically. And they're so quick. Like you put them on for 5 minutes usually and you're good. Some of them are 10, but most of them are 5-minute masks and they're really awesome. I don't know if I'm going to go to the bookstore because on Tuesday there are 3 books that are releasing on the same day that I'm going to probably get from Kindle. So I don't know if I don't need anything in particular from the bookstore. If they have Volume 4 of Haikyuu, I might get that because I got volumes 2 and 3 last weekend when I came out, when I was with my mom and my grandma and my sister. But they only had 2 and 3 when I was there that time. So if they have 4 and 5, I think I'll get today if I can find them. But if not, I'm just going to not worry about anything because, like I said, I have 3 books that are coming out on Tuesday that I want to buy on Kindle. And those are Babel by R.F. Kuang, Clown in a Cornfield 2 by Adam Sazer, and then also the newest Critical Role graphic novel for the Mighty Nine Origins, which is with Yasha, who is Ashley Johnson's character. I have not even watched anything with the Mighty Nine as of yet, but I've been slowly collecting all of the comic books and the graphic novels that are coming out because I want to have all of them. And also, I think it's in November, the next novel that is portraying one of the Mighty Nine characters, Lucian, is coming out. And that one is by Madeline Rue. And I'm very excited because I do like Madeline Rue's writing. I have her other book that just came out not that long ago, The Book of Living Secrets. It just came out this year. Anyway, after though that, I do still have to call the piercing parlor that I went to get my nose done because I want to see if I can walk in today and get my nose updated because basically like I still have the original post that I had when I got my nose done back at the end of April, and I was supposed to get the post replaced because they basically did it where it's a big post that they start you off with to help with all the swelling that is done when you first get your nose pierced, and then after about, they said like 2 months, you're supposed to go down to a smaller one. Obviously, go get groceries and stuff as well. So I'm going to be out for most of the day. My husband knows. I told him I really just need a day to myself. I need to go do some stuff that makes me happy. I need to go just kind of enjoy being in my space and being with myself because I feel like crap. And usually when I feel like crap, I just need to be left alone and be by myself. So it's like, go do what you got to do. And like then before I go home though, I will be getting groceries. So I have my list. We have a lot of stuff that we're getting this week because we're going to try to do a little bit of meal planning. We did a little meal planning this week. So I got to get like a lot of like little stuff for that. So anyway, I think that's it for right now. I did not read anything of Extasia last night just because I had date night and I was very, very incapacitated. I will say I had an edible last night for the first time in a long time. And it was not fun. I basically felt very heavy and I felt like because I couldn't fully relax for some reason, which I don't know why. I felt relaxed, but obviously my brain was not thinking like that because all of a sudden, like, I was fine. I could barely keep my eyes open because like I was so tired. And then all of a sudden everything in my body just like lit up in pain and I just didn't know what to do. So I was not a very fun person last night apparently. I mean, my husband said I was fine, but like I definitely kept saying that I felt like I was dying and because I was in a lot of pain and he didn't get that. But he said that, you know, it's fine. It's the first time I've done anything like that in a long time. because I don't really eat edibles that often. I don't even smoke that often, and not as often as he does, basically. But it's been a hot minute since I have, and so he's like, I kind of expected you to not do as well with it as like I would, but that was a little intense. And I'm like, yeah, it felt intense to me. Like, I feel like I was freaking the fuck out. So that was fun. But yeah, I think partially today too, I'm still a little groggy from that. Like, I can't tell though if it's my hormones or if I'm still feeling on the after effects of the edible or not. I just had like a little gummy, like a 10 milligram gummy basically. So I don't even really know like how much that's affecting me today still. I feel better now that I'm actually up and moving around now that I'm like doing stuff. So that's a good sign. But yeah, that's kind of how today's been. Sorry that I sat here for so long and just talked your guys' ear off, but what's new, right? This is how I do my vlogs, so it's not really that much of a surprise. Anyway, I'm gonna get going and continue with the rest of my day, and I will talk to you guys later. Only thing I can say update-wise is that I need to get through what I need to read at the hating game before I can continue with Extasia, but I think I should be able to do that tonight when I get home, because I still got to do a lot of filming and stuff like that, so I think I'll just, after filming, chill out, listen to the hating game, and just enjoy listening to that again. And then tonight during sprints, I'll probably pick up Extasia. So, see you guys later.
Okay, so please excuse me as I prep for filming. It is now 3:51 in the afternoon. I've been home for a couple of hours, but after running around and doing stuff today, I needed a bit of a break. So I got home around, I don't know, 3 o'clock or so, and finally got everything put away. I'll show you guys real quick everything I got once I can remember where I put some of it. So first of all, one of the things I got is this beautiful little owl candle holder thing. This fits the 6-ounce candles that you can get at Bath & Body Works. It's part of their fall collection, and I thought it was perfect to put on Freya's altar because although she's not necessarily the user of owls, she does use ravens quite a bit. But I thought that was perfect, and I thought it was just great to have. I did get a few candles while I was at Bath & Body Works as well from the fall collection. I also have another candle holder that is downstairs for 3-wick candles, and I'll show you guys that when I'm down there again. But I also have one of my fall candles I got downstairs, and it's the pumpkin carving one. And I left that one down there just because I thought that would be great to just be able to burn in a house at some point. But I did get the 2 staples for Halloween, which are Ghoul Friend and Vampire Blood. I was going to get one of the really cool like Halloween decorative candle holders, but they were like upwards of $50 to $80, and I was not willing to spend that much at that given time. The one I did get, the owl one, was like, I think $20. And then the bigger one I got, which was kind of more of like kind of like a matte black metal finish with then like a gold inlay on the inside, was like probably $25. So I was much more comfortable spending that much on candle holders, especially because I just really wanted something nice and decorative. But I did really like go in specifically looking for the Halloween candles because I loved these last year. I actually think I like the packaging on them this year a lot more. They're definitely more Halloween-y, whereas last year's were kind of like, they were fine. They definitely screamed Halloween, but these ones just are so much prettier because like you can see this one has like a witch with a cauldron and like potion working stuff, and then your trees and little crystals on the bottom. And then this one looks like it's in a graveyard, which I think that is more of what I would think of with like a vampire inspired candle, which if you don't know the sense these are, the Vampire Blood's kind of got more of like a fruit punch kind of smell to me, at least it did last year. And this has fragrance notes of blood red strawberry, midnight blooming jasmine, and dark Transylvanian plum. And then Ghoul Friend is more of dark strawberries, ghostly peony, and spine-chilling citrus. So this one has a little bit more of a floral scent. This one is much more fruity and much more like fruit punch, like I said. So I don't know if I'm going to burn these necessarily at all this year. I did just get them to put on my shelf because like I like having them and I like burning candles. But I did burn my ones from last year and I kind of regret it because I really liked those. So I don't know whether or not I'm going to actually burn these ones. I will probably burn the pumpkin carving one at some point though. But these two are my absolute favorite staples from last year. I did get my bubble tea while I was at the mall. I got a strawberry milk tea with just tapioca bubble. I did find one thing to buy. I could not find the 2 volumes of Haikyuu that I wanted, but I did find Courtney Peppernell's newest poetry collection, I believe, which is called The Way Back Home. This was the only thing I bought at the bookstore. I was going to buy several installments of the Marked series by PC and Kristen Cast, but I only have the first one, and I've never read the series. And while they were all used, what I was going to buy, I didn't feel comfortable buying them in the sense that, like, I want to make sure for certain that I'm going to enjoy the Marked series by reading the first one eventually, and I would really hate, because I'm trying to be more mindful of what I end up buying with my money, especially if I'm buying something physically that I would then need to sell back to somebody. So I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful and also not have as much in terms of taking up space. So I was hesitant to buy the physical copies, and if I really like it but I'm still not sure on the series, I will at least use my local library before I decide fully on purchasing it. And I think that what I will do from here on is, unless I absolutely know I'm going to either love the book, or if it's by an author that I'm already familiar with that I want to read, you know, like R.F. Kuang's Babel, I would like to get that physically, but I don't think I'm going to, because, like, I just would prefer to buy it a little bit cheaper by getting the Kindle version. That is what I'm going to do. But if I really, really, really want, like, a physical book for some reason, or I think it's not going to take up too much space like these poetry books, I will definitely buy something more physical. But for the time being, to kind of help myself with the lack of space that I have, I'm going to try to be more mindful to buy things more on Kindle, or at the very least, trying to use my local library a little bit more if I can. But unfortunately, my library doesn't always have the newest things. They definitely, for instance, have, like, I think all of Haikyuu up to now. So if I get to volume 5, or no, so if I get to volume 4 and I can't find it, I will definitely just use my local library and read the rest of it, because I went there looking for volume 4 and 5 and they didn't have either. They had volume 6 but not 4 or 5, which, since I went there last week and got 2 and 3, I'm not surprised, because it's not often they'll restock stuff unless somehow magically they get, like, a large shipment of things. Other than that, I didn't really buy much. I found 2 face masks at Sephora, but they are downstairs, and they're not really anything worth sharing. They're just, like, the cheap $5.50 ones. But yeah, that's basically it. So I think I got everything set up the way I want it to for right now. My chair that I usually use to prop my ring light on is downstairs, and I don't know if I'm going to bring it back up or not, but I lit my deity's candles today for the first time in a while, and I feel happy. I will say that going out did in some ways make me feel better, but I am also, like, extremely exhausted because I am starting to get cramps again. Not too bad, like, not to where I need to take anything right yet, but I can start them feeling they're coming back from this morning. And so far, since I think about Thursday, we have not seen any more mice, so we might be done with the mice issue now, which is good. That took about almost a week for us to, I think, get rid of all of them, because we've checked all of our traps and they don't seem to be anywhere right now in the house. And at the very least, they are not seeming to be up in my library anymore. But what we need to still do, despite anything, you know, not showing up, is we need to fill in the mouse hole that is up here, because that is where they are coming in up here. So at the very least, what we can do is, if we can, you know, disable the traps and get rid of the poison and stuff, we still need to fill that. So I'm going to see if Robert will help me figure out how to fill that in. But anyway, I have one video to film. I have my podcast to record for this week. And I was going to film TikToks, but I'm kind of giving up on my TikToks for right now, just because nothing I have lined up is very inspiring. I have a lot more inspiring prompts for next month that I've planned out, so I think I'm just going to kind of take it easy with my TikTok for the rest of the month. I'm not really too opposed to doing that. Same thing with my Instagram pictures. I'm kind of just, they're really basic stuff, and so I don't really feel the energy to make those right now. So I'm going to kind of start fresh with both Instagram and TikTok next month, just because it's been a little difficult trying to get the inspiration, like, and I write it down, but it's kind of hard to feel motivated to take certain kinds of pictures. Like, there's one set of pictures I took early in August that I was all excited to make like a carousel for on Instagram, and I'm just not really sure whether or not I want to do that anymore. So I think that what I might have to do for the future is try to bulk take all of my photos for the month, and that way it makes it easier for me to go back and do some of those Instagram posts later. But then when it comes to TikTok, a lot of them are things that are kind of spur of the moment on that day kind of thing, like daily vlogs or whatever. And I think that it will be easiest if I can bulk do a lot of that stuff and do the first half of the month early on in the month, do the second half about midway through the month kind of thing. Like, we'll see how that goes with September. That might be an experiment I try to see if that ends up helping me at all with my productivity kind of thing or something. But I know that TikTok's having an issue with them publishing drafts, like not without the approval of the person that has the account. So I don't know if that's necessarily the best option, because I just don't know whether or not it's gonna work. But I also think you can import edited footage into a TikTok. So I might see if that is possibility for me, if I can like pre-film some of it on my phone, use like iMovie or something to edit it and then post it on TikTok. I'm not sure if that's how that works. I know I can screen record something at the very least and post that onto TikTok, because I've done that for the 2 unhaul videos I did for July, but I don't know whether or not that will be the same effect in TikTok. So I guess we'll see. But speaking of unhauls, the video I'm filming for this week is an unhaul. So by the time this video goes out, y'all will see that unhaul in the next posting I do. I am gonna go film this video real quick, and I will talk to you guys later when I have made some progress in something, I guess.
Come closer, dance for me. Easy, tiger, easy, let your hair down. Come closer, let me see all your million faces and all your million mistakes. You don't need to hide. Come closer so that we can be together.
vlog, but I'm basically at the end of the hating game. I'll talk a little bit more about this in my Wheel of D20 video, but basically by the end of the day today, I will have finished
3 books this week and have got through a good chunk of another one and started another one, because later today, once I finish The Hating Game, I will be moving on to As Old as Time by Liz Braswell. This is one of my last books for Wheel of D20 and my last book to complete a prompt for Witch-a-thon. The Hating Game completes a reread for Witch-a-thon, so I will be one step closer to finishing the bingo board for that. But starting up next week, I will be getting through the rest of this one, as well as hopefully more of Extasia by Claire Legrand. And I think also next week I should be able to get through a couple more books and basically finish up my TBR for the month of August by reading Brandy's membership book club book for this month, which is God of Mercy by Okezi Nakoa. This is a gods fighting mortals, basically. And the other book that I will be completing this week will be The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. This will be my last book I need to complete for Orillium. So once I get through these two, that will be my last one, and then I will be done with my TBR that was 100% set for the month. And then, like I said, hopefully finishing Extasia. And then hopefully if I can manage that and finish Extasia by the end of this week, and before I have to return this book, I will be hopefully getting through Ophelia After All by Raquel Marie as well. So I have a lot of reading I plan on doing. I've only got a few days left before Extasia has to be returned, and then Ophelia After All I think has to be returned this weekend. So hopefully I can get everything done, but we will see. So hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. I know that there was a lot of stuff going on, and I know it's a really long one again this time, but honestly I feel like at this point, if you're not up for hour-long plus vlogs, then that's your problem, not mine, you know? Like, you don't have to watch it if you don't want to, but I know some people really do enjoy it, and I personally enjoy making the longer videos because I think it gives you guys more of a look into my life. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and if you guys did enjoy this video, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already and you'd like to be and would like to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!